Okay, here we go. We are live. So, welcome to the Inspired Life Soul Chat today. My name is Patricia Wald Hopkins, and I'm an Inspired Life Coach, Akashic Wisdom Guide, and Gene Keys Ambassador and Guide. So, today I have a very special guest, Tara Preston, and she is a new paradigm feminine leadership, prosperity, and business mentor. And she's also the founder of the Akashic Women's School, which I am very fond of, and the Flower of Life Healing Method. And so today we're going to play with the Gene Keys. I love to play in the field of the Gene Keys. And earlier this week, we were in the pulse of Gene Key 12, which is purity, and we still are. They go for 6 days. They're 6-day transits all throughout the year. And so we're going to continue to drop in to see what wants to come through around purity of authentic self-expression. And I know that Tara is beautiful at uncovering that in people.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. And
Sure.
what inspired you to say yes?
Well, what inspired me to say yes was that it felt super exciting to come and play in this realm with Patricia. And I'm fortunate enough that Patricia has journeyed through many of my programs. And so, like you were saying, I'm the founder of the Akashic Women's School and the creator of the Flower of Life Akashic Healing Method. And I often am journeying with women when they are on the edge of their evolutionary feminine journey. So they are feeling that pull, that call to step into the next rebirth and anchoring of their higher soul's vision. And then along with that, of course, comes the embodiment of more of their feminine essence, their power, their leadership, purpose, and pleasure. So that's, and of course, the big part of the work that I do with that is through transformation and the Akashic Records.
Yeah, those are some powerful tools and wisdom that you hold around the divine feminine too. And this is about the voice. So the Gene Key 12 is associated with the thyroid, but also the larynx and secrets. So there's 21, but there's a secret 22nd codon ring in the Gene Keys. They're associated with fractals of energies that work together through people. But it's called the Ring of Secrets. And so this Gene Key has 2 portals in it. It's associated with that, and also the Ring of Trials. And it's like the deepest layer of letting go of the ego self, or not letting go, but because we never let go of our ego because we need it, right?
Totally. I know what you're saying, though. I think that, and when you're talking about like purity of expression too, and the thing that at first came through for me was around like messiness. And then we're talking about like the ego and how it kind of interferes with just like our pure expression that can often be, we think of purity and we think of maybe beauty and like, perfect transmission. And like, while that can be a part of it, it's often like, especially when we get to the deeper layers of authentic expression, or maybe there's certain layers that we haven't looked at. I mean, our internal worlds are so complex. And so oftentimes our expression can feel very vulnerable, and it can feel very messy and not perfect. And that's where I find the ego really does like to hang on. And I love that we're even kind of like, talking about this, because yesterday I was working with a woman and we were talking about creativity, and I use, the solar process as a tool here and there where it works. And I had, given her this creative process to use, and it had probably been 3 weeks, and she had the easel set up with the the canvas on it and all of the new creative supplies that she had bought, and she hadn't touched it. Right. So I
Been
was
there.
like, right, totally. So, because, we push up on that edge of like resistance when it comes to like expressing ourselves in the physical world, oftentimes, and where that like ego can get like tangled up in just allowing the messiness and the truth and the vulnerability of our expression to want to come through. So, or to allow it to come through. So, I think that ties into like,
Oh, definitely.
yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
because
it.
and you just talked about it, but in other words, but the challenge, or what they call the shadow, each jinky has a shadow, a gift,
Mhm.
and a siddhi or essence. And this is called vanity. And
Mhm.
it's around two two forms of it. One is that you don't show because for some reason you it's like you don't want to be bothered with it, or it's kind of below you or something, like like it's just not worth your time, sort of thing. Or
Mhm.
there's the other more reactive, which is more like just all out
Mhm.
in your
Yeah.
face with whatever that is.
Mhm.
And so the ego is involved with both of those, right? Trying to protect you one way or another through fighting it
Absolutely.
out or hiding.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
so how does the Akashic record work that you do, and the mentoring that you do, how does that work with that aspect of the human self, that vanity, that need to protect um,
Yeah, it's such a
the most
beautiful
tender
tool.
parts? Mhm.
Yeah, and I was just talking to one of the Akashic Women Guide students, and she was saying how she is such a deep person and she loves to go deep. And so sometimes she'll be drawn to like really long, deep containers or like
Yeah.
experiences. But she's found, like with the Akashic Records, and I totally could concur and relate to this, is that like in a single session with the Akashic Records, because we're working at such a deep level, that we almost like immediately like cut through the noise and all of the surface level distraction, and we start um, examining and traveling through the deeper layers and deeper subconscious aspects of who we are. So it's like even in a single session, we travel very, very deep. But I think through like my method, or I mean maybe all people who space hold, and that's the importance of space holding, is that we can drop into that space and bring that that energy of unconditional love and compassion, and create that sense of safety, and allow for there to be like a softness and an openness and an ease when it comes to exploring some of these deeper layers with the
Mhm.
Akashic Records.
Mhm.
But also it's like sometimes it's in the scope of Akashic Record work, we can feel like a little bit like naked, because we do really go so deep right away. And it's not even necessarily the beauty of this work too, is that we're untangling so much at like the root system, the soul level, or the subconscious system, the subconscious level. So we're pulling up some of like maybe the messy bits of like our shadowy self that's playing out in the physical world. And that's why I like this, because I don't ever have to directly tell someone, oh, this is like what's happening. It's like the story that we pull up from the deep, it starts to illuminate. Even though it's a past life story, it illuminates in this current physical experience what's going on. And so it kind of bypasses the ego in a way. And people can start to like feel and see and sense like, oh, actually, like that plays out big time, like in my current physical experience now as well.
Mhm.
I find that can be really effective at bypassing the ego and just allowing some of the soupier kind of like shadowy bits to come up to the surface in examination. And then through awareness and the records, we can get to the root of it and clear it, and
Mhm.
open up space for that rebalancing of our internal and external authentic self. So like as we're talking, I'm seeing like all the layers of like authenticity, which is like quite beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm. And would you
Yeah.
agree that because for this particular gene key, it is it is acoustic in nature or vibrational. And so the Akashic records are vibrational, right? I mean, it's a vibration. I mean, how would you explain that if you had to link it to
If I
being a
had to explain it.
vibration? Yeah.
Yeah, I do see it as like a vibrational field of well, the Akasha is slightly different than the Akashic records, but it's all vibrational. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people feel that I think even when I first began learning and studying the Akashic records, like over a decade ago, the Akashic records kind of like, I knew it was a dimension I was tapping into, and it
Mm-hmm.
felt kind of like out there. Like the process that I was trained to do it, the way I would log into the Akashic field, and I'll explain a little bit more about that too, but is that we often think the Akashic records are out there, but actually the Akashic records are held at the soul level, the subconscious level, the cellular level. Like they're actually like held like in our body, and it's kind of like woven into this like field or this fabric that exists within us, outside of us, and all around us.
Mm-hmm.
But if we want to get like really complex with it, and oftentimes I'll keep it much more simple than that. But still, it's like intuitively we're accessing that dimension and that point of contacting or interacting with the Akashic field and the Akashic records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the Akashic records themselves, again, a vibrational field of just limitless information that has existed before any of this, and every soul, every piece of land, every pet has an Akashic record, and the Akashic record holds simultaneously, our divine soul level blueprint, like who we are as divine beings in that unique vibrational makeup at soul level. And also all the energetic kind of like tangled energy of negative choice points that we've made along our soul path, and how that creates blocks, and how that actually interferes with our unique divine soul level expression in the physical world. Yeah.
Yes, that is exactly what I was feeling into. So thank you for eloquently
Oh,
describing that.
beautiful. Of
Yeah,
course.
it's about that vibration that you emit, and
Yeah,
the
I see what you're
purity
saying.
of it, right? And it doesn't have to be, like you said, perfect, like what we call perfect,
Perfect.
but it's
Yeah.
you. It's authentically you.
Yeah. Totally. And
Yeah.
and depending where we're at, I feel like too, when we're really embodied in our unique, our essence or our soul self, however you want to term it, I like the word essence a lot. When we're really, embodied in her, I do feel like it's like we become these channels of like activated like wisdom and truth. Like it actually is like very vibrational in the way that we begin to express. I was going to say something else too, but now I forget. So
it comes back if it needs to. Maybe I'll say something that will kind of ping it back.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've talked a little bit about the shadow or the challenge, and then so the gift is called discrimination, and this is from the Gene Keys book by Richard Rudd, and GeneKeys.com, J. Oh my gosh, GENE, not like KEY. S.com, not jeans.
Right.
Sometimes people think we're talking about blue jeans, and I don't know.
Oh, too funny. Yes.
But GeneKeys.com. And but anyway, he says discrimination gives humanity a taste of higher order operating behind the scenes of life. So let me say it again. Discrimination gives humanity a taste of higher order operating behind the scenes of life. And so it's when you're able to embrace your own shadow, to dance with your shadow of vanity, you can begin to discriminate what is actually good for your soul versus what is not. And so you begin to see behind that the play that the ego plays out in life. You begin to see the higher mechanics. And I really feel
I like that.
The Akashic records allow that to be seen
beautiful.
through the stories.
Well, I just I don't know how this ties in together, but even just like the non-judgment, like when we can understand, the dynamic nature of our shadow. But yes, the Akashic records and discrimination, or how the shadow with the Akashic records, and how we're able to illuminate and see the shadow. And I'm just kind of feeling into it as I talk, but
Mhm.
I mean, absolutely. I think too, this is like where it's nice to sometimes have a guide, like actually where like where it's like where we can have somebody like hold that space for us in the Akashic records, which is why I'm so passionate about, you know, certifying Akashic women guides. But it's like, for me, who facilitates transformation, and oftentimes, I'm guiding women through the abyss, through the void, through the unknown. And also, this is where, the shadow self can like really rear its head when we're on the edge of anchoring in like a new vibrational experience that even more fully allows for our divine expression. I mean, it's just so much easier for me to really see and mirror like back to my clients. Well, actually, like, this to me feels like more of like the shadow aspect that's showing up right now, and being able to provide that beautiful mirror as a way to guide, but then also to can keep my clients like really in alignment, right, with the higher trajectory, so it
Mhm.
shortcuts the path. I don't know if that like fully answers the question, but yeah, it's those two pieces of like, I think that's where it can be so beautiful. Akashic record work, absolutely, and having other space hold for us, and being that mirror, which could
Yeah.
tie into vanity a little bit, maybe, I don't know, but that's what I
Well,
think
there's
of
and it's not really
vanity.
the thing I love about the Gene Keys is that it's a contemplative path. So there isn't a right or wrong answer. So
Oh,
it's
beautiful.
everybody has a transmission to share when they're
Mm,
activated by the Gene Keys, which is what I
mm,
really love, that that unique self-expression, authentic self-expression, which you hold space for in your your mentorships too. And
mhm.
yeah, tell us a little bit
Absolutely.
about how you're mentoring for feminine leadership, new paradigm feminine leadership, and
Yeah,
business and
absolutely. Well, I
prosperity.
wanted to bring, yeah, I absolutely can, and kind of ground the interview, and I wanted to touch in on this like idea of witnessing too. And
Yeah.
it just feels like there's like a little bit more that wants to come out on like the messy piece. Because our authentic expression is so unique, and so to such a degree, we've all been conditioned, especially coming out of like the 40s, 50s, and we started to see more liberation in the 60s and 70s. But for, even for, yeah. So it's like, we're all wanting to untangle this conditioning, and our authentic expression, like, is unique, and it often does look and feel like weird. So often we're like afraid to like just like naturally express who we are because we're going to be weird. Like, that's the whole point of like authentic expression, is that we're allowing the uniqueness, the things that kind of do make us a little bit weird, to be loved by and seen by us in their natural expression, and so that it can take up space in the world around us. And that's where we start to feel more freedom in that pure authentic expression. And it's like, by identifying it and loving it and allowing it to come to the surface, that's where it can be seen as beautiful. That's where it can be beautiful.
Mhm.
So, so I just wanted to share that piece. And I think that's a part of, and I'm going to bring it back to the story with my client yesterday. I was kind of guiding her through these next steps to move past this little bit of ego resistance, where play can often be such a powerful tool when we can weave some play in, and it kind of distracts the ego and allows us to move into authentic, like, creative expression. But one of the pieces that I kind of had finished that session off with this woman was, I want to see your art. Like, I want to see the creative expression, right? Because there's so much power in allowing ourselves to be witnessed in just like our raw creative expression. So
Mhm.
again, like the importance of, like us connecting in and weaving together and witnessing and seeing others in that unconditional loving place where we can just really witness the unique expression of others without judgment. Okay, that's it. That was the
Yeah, no,
piece I
that's
wanted to
beautiful.
come.
Thank you for elaborating more on that's part of like this container here, this soul inspired life soul chat. It's a creative container, right? It's not There's not a planned, there's a little bit of structure just to hold the
Yeah.
magic, but it's really just about,
Yes.
letting our souls reveal themselves in
Absolutely.
connection with the power of the gene keys. And
Yeah, that's so beautiful that you put this
yeah,
together like this. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. I love it. And there's an art, um, there's an art to it. And I think as like creatives and artists, we get to practice that muscle and like and allowing that expression and that creative essence and energy to really flow. But
yeah.
anyways,
No, and you said something else about the contain, like the sacred space holding,
mm,
and which you do, so beautifully. And it's like that, creating that safety, but it's like there's the divine feminine presence, and the softness, but
mm,
also the sacred masculine too, this little bit of
mhm,
structure, but just
mhm.
that allows the whole nervous system to relax and allows your heart to open. And then, because this is about the heart opening, the gene key 12 too, and
Mhm.
it activates the authentic expression through your voice, but which is
Yeah,
also extends into all of your creations. And so
yeah,
I
I love
think
it.
that that's part of the work, is like you said, the holding of other people, a mirror, while they're in a safe place so they can truly see themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's
I think that's what that
I
wanted to
love
be
that.
said.
Yeah, thank you, and I love that you're seeing that, and it is such a powerful piece. And it was a powerful piece for me in the beginning of my own journey, like, when I stepped onto this, I've been space holding for women in their authentic expression as a professional makeup artist for 12 years. But, the work wanted to go deeper and I wanted to root more into self love. Like, what are we missing as women in the scope of our beauty and our purpose and our expression? But learning to create sacred space in the very beginning for myself, even just allowed my essence to feel safe enough to drop in. And the heart really truly was like the gateway, the doorway.
Mm.
And yeah, so I love this, and it's so much of like what came through in my sessions yesterday, of course. Yeah, and then it was that journey, like the heart was the door, and then I just went deeper and deeper into other aspects of unlocking what I would call different wisdom centers that women have in their body and in their channels. So yeah, so the sacred space, yes, the sacred space is so beautiful and so powerful and becomes the container for the essence, for our feminine essence to feel safe enough to let go and to just drop in. Yeah, I mean, the energy and the power of container, even just like you described it with this creation, it's like then there's like a whole other magic that can really unfold in such a safe and magical way. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like that is one of the things that I, have um, learned in my journey, is that creating um, safe, sacred spaces for creation, for creativity, and for expression.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I know that, you're a shamanic artist too, and you do a lot of um, what is it? Was it called body mapping, or you do a lot of
Oh yeah,
different
the body
things.
mapping. Well, it's the soul art process, and I studied with Laura Hollick for 8 years and became a soul art shamana. And there's so many layers to the way that she has created this spiritual, creative, like healing modality. Really, is what it is. But yeah, the body mapping. Yeah, I mean, yes, that is. Yeah, and just using the creative process in a very intentional and like sacred and safe way really allows just the energy to flow, but in a way of like non-attachment. So that again,
Yeah.
it's like the essence and the symbols and the messages can then reveal themselves. And Laura in that process takes it like a step further by using like the tracing of like our bodies as like a container for our creative and
Mm-hmm.
spiritual journey to like flow through a creative process, which is like so brilliant and so healing and so revealing. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Mhm.
I feel like that. that's almost like it's like a mirror, right? Too, because you get to see yourself in a different way. From the one couple of times I've done it, I've been extremely surprised by what was showing up
I
in different
know.
parts
Yeah.
of my body. Some I
Yeah.
liked, some I didn't. So
Well, that's the thing that about that process, you know, and for me, and coming from a makeup artistry background too, and I was so drawn to that work. This was, you know, again, about 10 years ago, but it really, and I had been doing artistry in the scope of, you know, makeup artistry, but I, so for me to grab markers and crayons and actually create through the scope of the body, and there were so many artists doing it. I was not an artist, but the first time I did my body map, I hated it. It was so ugly. Like I was like, I saw some things in there like that were revealing, and I was like, this is like, I'm not hanging this up anywhere. But like, there was so much medicine in there that actually, as I sat with it, like I was like, why do I hate it? Why do I feel like it's so ugly? Like it allowed me to find the beauty and the wisdom, even when my expression wasn't perfect. And as a, you know, a spirited entrepreneur, you know, it's like that actually allowed me to get visible, like with way less like self-judgment. I could just show up in my messiness a little bit more, and I could just know that that's just a part of the human experience, and just like love it without judging it. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
very organic, right? Our
Yeah.
creativity, allowing it to grow, and you can cultivate it like a very formal garden too, I suppose. But in the
You
beginning,
can. I find creativity and like artistry are like two different
I
things.
think
And
so.
like, yeah. And like
But the
over
reason
time,
I
my
say that
artistry got
is that
better. Go ahead.
is
Yeah.
that the I'm sorry, I just wanted
No,
to
no.
come out, is that this is
Yeah.
also, this gene key is associated with the arts and with
Ah,
refined art and dance. And
wow.
yes, and so it's through that process, right, of seeing what, the authentic self, then you can, refine or whatever it is that you need to do, for
Totally.
mastery. Hmm.
And I think those are the best. We're kind of like a little bit getting off track, but not really. But I feel like that's where the essence and the energy it's just like we've cleared all the muck and the guck, and we know how to, you know, when the messy layers want to present themselves, work with it and love it and allow it. But it allows the purity of like our essence to just like flow through. And I think that's like some of the best art that you could like see out there, is when an artist has really been able to like tap into
They're
that
true,
pure
authentic.
expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah,
That's
so
a
that
good
was
place. Yeah.
that's how it is with the Gene Keys. You kind of ping pong, and it doesn't have to be, but that's
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You kind of cut out, so I don't know if I'm cutting out or if it's just us. Just to let you know, it's all good though. Yeah. Yeah, you're frozen. I wonder if I'm frozen.
it,
Oh, there you're back. Well, I maybe our time has come to an end.
I cut out for a moment. Yeah, yeah, must be
Yeah, you're still cutting in and out, and I could be my internet.
a
I think I have.
woes.
I don't want to hop off unless I know I'm supposed
Probably.
to.
Um,
Oh, you're still cutting out.
connection, but
Oh, and we lost you. And now it's just me.
Internet connection. And so we may from our broadcast. Let me see if I can get her to come back on, talk about messiness, right? And being comfortable showing up in that. Just trying to get her to come have a chance to close out. Here she comes. Yay!
Hey, we did it. Funny.
Persevered. Yeah. So before we lose it again, I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing here today. And was there any message or anything you wanted to leave our audience with?
I don't know if I have any final messages. I think, the big piece is the loving the messy bits and allowing for the messy bits. And I'll just share, if that's okay, Patricia, that the doors for the Akashic Women's Guide certification program are open. So if any of the Akashic, so if any of this really touched in or spoke to you, definitely come and explore the Akashic Women's Guide certification. And the early saving ends on Tuesday. And thank you for having me, Patricia.
Okay,
this was
great.
Wonderful.
Oh, my pleasure and honor. So thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your week. And we'll talk to you all soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.